Okay. Let's see. I got to get ready for tonight's live stream. Fury of the Gods. Oh, right. It's Shazam. Oh, yeah. Yeah. This is Bruno here. Now, it's good you guys have shown up to see this video. That's just really great, this live stream. But now you gotta stay till the end. And if you don't, you know something? Bruno's not gonna be happy with you. And you know what happens when Bruno ain't happy with you, huh?
You are very menacing. I just want you to know that.
That's right, Shazammy. And you better watch this video too.
Shall we?
We are here, and we have a special guest star. We have
Exactly
Shazam
right.
himself. Oh wait, it's Dave Bratton.
Oh
And
man!
Pretty
Sorry to
Fly.
disappoint.
Yes.
Oh,
And I'm Joe,
Right.
and welcome to
I'm gone.
Anachronic Comics to DC Watch. DC Watch. I think this might be. I should have counted them. I think this might be our 9th episode, both live and taped. Recorded shows. I got to count them up. I think it's 9. Which is a lot. I didn't think we would last past 5, but
We're sorry, guys.
Yes,
Yeah.
our apologies for that.
Sorry.
So we got a bunch of people in here. Let's take a look who we have here. So we have the first one. We have Trev, the shipping guru. Love this guy, Trev.
Hey, Trev.
I'm so happy you're here. We have Seth 11. Hey, Seth.
Yeah. So
Thank you for coming by. Who else? Gary B, the casual comic guy. I love Gary B. One of my faves. Gary, thank you for coming by. Who else do we have here? So we have Steve White. Hey, Steve. Let's see who else. Todd, Turbo Man Todd. Yes, Shazam.
It's
Don't say
Turbo
that too
time.
lightly. Look what happened to me. Ended up being Bruno. Got to be careful there. And one of my faves here, Jerry the Jitterbug. Hey, Jerry. I missed your. I haven't seen your most recent video. I got to take a look at it after we're done tonight. All right. So who else we have? Anybody else? And we got the other Bratton brother, Doug.
yeah.
How you doing, Doug?
Hey, dude.
All right. And who else we have? The one, the only, the irrepressible Matt Woods. Matt, thank you. We got Steve, and we have Tina. Yes, Tina. How are you doing?
Hey,
Good to see
Tina.
you. Thank you for being here. Let's see. We got
Always good to
anybody
be here.
else? Did I miss anybody? Let's see. Got Doug. Got Matt Woods. We have Sith Lordly Spine Ticks. How you doing, guys?
Nice.
All right. Who else? Anybody else that we missed? Tina. I think we probably got everybody right now. Hopefully, a million more people will join, but right now we've got, I think, everyone. Okay, 2 million. Yeah. All right. So we all went to see Shazam: Fury of the Gods. All right. Being the DC Watch guys, we had to do that. Now, I just want to say one thing before we begin. These two guys went to see it on the weekend. I had to wait until Tuesday, and they played a dirty trick on me. All right. They played a really dirty trick on me. They know one of my faves is Booster Gold. So the guy here at the bottom writes to the guy over here on my side, "Hey, Dave, wasn't it great when Booster Gold showed up and had that time travel thing?" And I went, "Guys, don't do that to me. What do you do that to me for?" And then they said, "But am I telling you the truth or am I not?" Well, what the heck? I thought we were amigos. I thought we were bros, the DC bros. Pretty Fly, you were the instigator. I'm going to get back
I
at you
know.
one day. I'll see
I
that.
know.
On that.
Well done, Pretty
Yeah,
Fly.
You should,
Well
you should take
done.
it seriously.
That was good because I believed it.
Yeah, because Gunn
There's been-
teased Booster Gold, so I figured.
There's been no casting news whatsoever.
I know. Anyway, well, we did go to see it, and we all loved the first movie really quite a bit, and everyone kind of liked the second movie too. But Dave is our resident Shazam person, so I think Dave should tell us what he thinks about Shazam: Fury of the Gods to start off with. So, Dave, what do you say?
Sure. I mean,
Because Dave, we have to give it to you because I think you did about 2,000 posts on this movie
no,
in Instagram.
not more than 1,500. Not more than
2001.
1,500. No, I thought it was a funny and emotional, worthy sequel to the first film, and I loved the first film. Absolutely love it, and I really liked this film. It took the characters forward. It introduced some new villains played by Helen Mirren, Lucy Liu, and Rachel Zegler. Thought they were terrific. It starts off with the Shazam family. Just when we left off in the last movie, they had just become superheroes, and now this was sort of the next step. Here they are, really trying to be superheroes, trying to do it the right way, and stumbling a little bit. Saving some lives, but maybe not saving some property from serious damage. So they're,
what do they call them? What do they call them?
Fiascos, I
The
believe.
Philadelphia
The
Fiascos.
local media. Yeah, exactly. And then Billy, he wants to be the leader of the team, and he's not sure how to do it. And he's, he's also aging out of the foster system and has concerns about that, about, what that means for his connection to the family, and, can the family even like keep him? Can they afford to pay for him to live with them? When they stop getting, the checks to help support, him with the family. So, no, I thought it was a lot of fun. If I were to break it down, I thought the first half was good, and I thought the second half was excellent. And let me,
the
go
closing, right? The closing was probably one of the best ones I think I've ever seen. The end of the movie, don't you think?
Yeah.
To me, it was one of my all-time favorite superhero finales. It was emotional. It was exciting. I mean, Joe and I have talked about this. We got emotional watching it.
Yeah.
I guess we're kind of keeping it free now.
Yeah, I mean, I teared up like 3 times during that movie.
You too.
Joe, I think I know why.
I'm a sensitive guy. I'm very sensitive. I'm Italian.
I think I know why you liked it, Joe. But when we get to the spoiler aspect of the episode, you know,
all right.
If this means anything to you, Joe.
Yes. Look, I love the first film, and I thought this was really good. I mean, I'd probably give it a B+ if I were grading it. Look, if you like the first movie or you like good superhero movies, go see it. Go see it in theaters. And we're going to talk about, its performance a little later in the show. But see it on the big screen. It's the best way to see these kinds of films if you can.
I don't go to see a lot of movies, and we can talk about that too. In the theater, but when I do go and I decide I'm going to spend the money, I do spend a couple of extra bucks, and go see it like in IMAX, or whatever that 4FX, whatever the heck the thing is called. Because Atmos, I mean, I actually forgot about it. I did get the IMAX ticket. I'm sitting down there. You got this beautiful screen, that's like huge, and you're sitting that. So I'm sitting in the seat, and they usually have nice reclining seats too, like partially reclining. I mean, it's really super nice seats. I wish I had one over here so I could sit down and do that. Anyway, suddenly, right at the beginning with the, stuff happening with the bridge and all the rest of that stuff, all of a sudden, my seat is rumbling. The noise is coming from all over the place. And I went, whoa, I forgot about that. It was like I was there,
Yeah, you're like that. You remind me, Joe, you remind me of that old commercial with was it the Maxwell tape where the guy is like,
the guy's getting blown out of it.
Oh, yeah. It's getting blown away.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, if you go to AMC theaters and purchase the Dolby ticket, as long as supplies last, don't be like, Dave said you could get this.
I didn't get it.
But there is a limited edition comic book.
Yeah.
It's a reprint of Shazam #1, and it has this really awesome cover. Like I said, if you go to the Dolby theater, so I was fortunate enough to get a copy. So I think it's really cool.
Yelling all over there. Where's my copy? Where's my comic book?
If any of the DC Watch guys were to get one, I'm glad it's you. So.
Yeah, you deserve it. You deserve it.
Because I would have to send it to you.
All that free advertising you gave them, I think they deserved that to give you at least one of those comics.
Well, thanks. So,
that is a great cover, though.
It's really cool. It's really cool. I love it. Yeah, so the Dolby AMC. But the film was really good. And like I said, the second half I thought was awesome. And the end was incredible. And I was telling Joe, I'm not going to name names of other superhero films because, you know, every film is someone's
Because
favorite.
we did a full episode about it previously.
But the end was better than almost every superhero movie film I've ever seen, in my opinion.
And to me, that's what matters. Guys, I told you, like,
Yeah.
you know, you can have a good beginning, good middle, but if they don't stick the landing,
sticking the landing matters.
Yep.
It's good endings are hard. They're really hard,
True.
you know. And this one for me completely nailed it.
Well, I think we could say this, right? What Castellier Garcia is saying.
I agree.
We could say that.
Kessler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for people who haven't seen it, we have a post. No,
Skittles will factor in to this video later
on. Yeah. Well, all right. So Dave, I mean, what do you think might be or Pretty Fly? I mean, we take a look at this movie. The one thing, well, let me start with something that first kind of confused me a little bit at the beginning, you know, and they tried to make it come out there, but the first movie was a lot about family and fitting in, you know, and the kid trying to be an adult and all of that.
Yeah.
The second movie had some of that, right? But most of the stuff had been resolved in the first movie. And it looked to me like the second movie was more, you know, and Sandberg, you know, comes from the horror genre, right? So it was more kind of adventure, more action, more CGI, which I think all the CGI was actually pretty good, except for I think the Doctor Strange type of power that wasn't it?
Rachel Ziegler's character.
Rachel Ziegler's
I thought that was really cool, honestly.
I thought it was awesome.
Well, but with everything moving, I thought it was great. Yeah.
But you know, it was better in Doctor Strange #1. I also saw that in 3D, and there's no way you cannot see those things. And I'm running along there with something.
I understand. It's going to look different in 3D. Yeah.
And they had to.
You guys continue. Different. I got to go do something. Right back.
Okay. Well,
no problem.
I'll
jump in, Lenny.
Yeah. So I think my initial out of the theater response that I DM'd you guys was like, the first one was a better movie, but I think I had more fun in this one.
Okay.
You know, partly because like, hey, you know, we got the origin story out of the way, and then, you know, I there's so many laugh out loud moments in this movie, more so than the first one, and then the action's better, and then the visual effects. Speaking of, you know, Doctor Strange effects, oh my gosh, you know, for a movie that I think that cost 100 million. Is
100 to 125? I think 125 is the highest I've heard.
The dragons look awesome. The monsters
dragons look amazing.
I mean, obviously they're Warner Brothers. They just had to like borrow the Game of Thrones, you know, models and stuff, you know. So, but you know, for me, like I had a lot of fun with this one, more so than the first one, because the first one had a good heart, you know, it was pretty dramatic. And then, but I really enjoyed this one. It's kind of like I always equate it to like, you know, of all the Tim Burton or the '89 Batman. Like the first one is like, you know, iconic, but I really had fun with Forever. So that Forever is the one that I think I watched the most out of all three.
Really?
Even though
gotcha. Batman Forever, not Returns. Forever.
Yeah, Forever.
Okay,
Forever.
Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Like I wore down that VHS pretty good.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Well, and the second movie was much more. It seemed like the first movie, the plot was pretty easy to follow. There was a lot, you know, it was kind of compressed. This one was like really broader because you did still have, you know, Billy, I guess in the beginning, not calling his mother mom or anything like that. So he still seemed to be having an issue with that, although I thought he had taken care of it in the first movie. And then at the end, he finally calls him, you know, when she says, I want to see you one last time as, you know, my Billy.
Well, that makes sense though, Joe. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Dave. I think
with his foster mother, he was calling her by her first name. The first one, I may have actually lost my train of thought about the family, you know, this developed it further and sort of showed the struggles of, you know, what it's like to interact as a family when people are different and have different goals and view things differently. And, you know, so I was really just going to chime in that it took them to a different step the next step.
Mhm.
The first one I thought was a very, very organic film in terms of the plot. Like it was a little bit more simple. This
Right.
plot, it was denser. So that could be a little bit more challenging to follow. And we'll probably address that a little bit with some of the
Well, yeah.
criticism later. But having seen it, I've seen it more than once. I'm like, it's all there. Like whether people miss it or see it, it's all there for the audience to follow. So go ahead.
Well,
Carl.
Joe, with the mom thing, it makes sense to me, because if you remember from the first movie, he spent like the first half of the movie looking for her,
Yes.
only to be
His birth mother,
abandoned. He finally found her, and just to be abandoned. So I could see why he's a little hesitant to call somebody,
Because
mom.
he thinks turning 18 is going to be abandoned again. In other words.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, he's like, how can you call anyone else mom when
He was
your very mom
he was
abandoned
so
you?
focused on his mother and almost like this
There's
idealized
still some
version of her.
residual hurt feelings
Yes,
from
and
the
letting
first
go of that, and accepting sort of the new mom in his life. No,
right,
absolutely, that makes
which
perfect
is hard,
sense from the first movie.
I mean, I've never been in that position. I'm blessed, but tons of kids have been. So so I can only imagine how that would feel.
Yeah.
But also with the family thing, just to go back to it before we move on, because that was like one of my main talking points in the previous video.
Right.
I think that's what makes this a really good sequel, because it still deals with family. For the most part, in the first movie, Billy looks for family, not recognizing that the family was right in front of him. And then for this one, now that he got that family, he's about to lose it again.
The first film, I'm sorry, Jimmy.
Oh no, I just want to I just want to say that how it kind of evolved that theme of family to recognizing what it is, to the inevitability that we're all going to grow up, have our own families, and split. So
absolutely.
But I don't think Billy was ready for that.
No, and the first film,
he didn't have it for the first part of his life. So good.
No, absolutely. The first film was the coming together of the family, and this film was trying to keep it together.
Yeah.
And, he came to that family later as a teenager. So he was only going to get a few years with them. I mean, if you're fortunate like you or me, he was. I got to grow up with my family, and they were there, the whole time. But he had just found this family. And then a couple of years later, it seemed like there's a possibility that some of them are going to have to go their separate ways, possibly. And that's why he did become a bit more controlling, because he really wanted to keep them together. He didn't, he had searched for a family that ultimately didn't materialize for himself, and now he felt like he was going to lose this one. So it approached the story of family just from a different angle, and I thought it worked really well.
And also, just to add to that, even the villains had family issues,
which made them very interesting in my opinion.
Yeah, these are like godlike beings. We'll get to it. We'll get to that to the spoilers part. But
well, I want to talk about more the Daughters of Atlas also, and the actresses and all that. So, what do you think about them as being the quote unquote villains? Because some of them turned out not to be so villainous, I guess. At the end, with respect to that,
it was really different. It was unique. Normally it's the villain's very mustache twirling, I'm evil, or sometimes a better developed villain, has these, more complex motivations. Well, these villains, each of them had different motivations. And I thought that was really cool and very different, where they clashed. They didn't agree. And ultimately one was more villainous than the others. And maybe some of the others, maybe they helped save the day even, so it was really different, which I liked.
You know what I didn't like though? I mean, you guys are talking so good about everything like that, but there were, but the one thing I thought,
here's the New York
Helen Mirren's character, the older daughter, I think she was great, the one I didn't like too much, I guess, was Lucy Liu's character, because it to me it seemed like it was just so one-dimensional. I want to destroy humanity. I don't care about anything else. I mean, I know you needed somebody like that to be the foil, and for all the stuff to happen that did, because or else it wouldn't have happened. But to me, it was like, gee, maybe it would have been better if there was some more oomph to her, just besides this one-dimensional character that ended up being basically the main baddie during the whole movie.
Go ahead, Lenny, and then I'll.
No, you're the one who's going like.
I'm like,
go for it, go for it. Before you burst, go for it,
Joe. No, no. And see, and I will say this: I've seen the movie multiple times now, and that always helps me in terms of picking up some of the nuances and subtleties I didn't see the first time. Right. And as I watched this movie again, Lucy Liu's character wanted something different. Helen Mirren wanted their mythological realm restored and didn't mind hurting or killing people to do it. Lucy Liu wanted that, but wanted vengeance with it. She wanted her pound of flesh with it. And as the movie progresses, you see she'll defer to Helen Mirren, but you can tell like she doesn't feel Helen Mirren is going far enough with the revenge. And throughout the movie, her character becomes more open about what she really wants. Like, I want vengeance. You know, these people have done terrible things. They deserve, they deserve to be destroyed. And it builds to a crescendo to where at the end she's like, you know what happens, her full dark side turn. So for me watching it again, I thought it worked better maybe than you did with Lucy Liu. I was
I think I kind of understood even Shazam or Captain Marvel told I fully understand why you kind of upset about the whole thing being put in this area where you couldn't move or anything like that for like, I don't know, 1,000 years, whatever it was, stuff like that. So you'd be kind of angry when you get out about that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I get your criticism, Joe. But yeah, she was kind of one-dimensional, but I like to think of it as if you put all the three villains into one entity, then you can have that. You can have the multiple dimensions and the struggle and the conflict, So I mean, I get it, but I like to think of it as, if you put them together, the three villains, then you can have the layers and the dynamics that we've seen on the.
I agree. They represented different parts, and it worked well for the story and the plot.
And also, actually, this goes back to when I saw the trailer. But when Helen Mirren took off that helmet in the beginning of the movie, she looked like Granny Goodness. Didn't she? Like with a red
dark side. No.
Yeah. She looked good, Granny Goodness too. Because I thought that was Granny Goodness when I saw her character on the I think it was the first or second trailer.
Lenny, I have to say, I thought the exact same thing. I said, "What? Granny Goodness? What is this?"
Yeah, no. Maybe it was, but they had to, change. I don't know.
Sport dark side shirt. I like it.
Remember, Tom King was supposed to do.
Remember,
Tom King was supposed to do the New Gods movie. Remember?
Right.
So, I don't know. Maybe
that might still come. and she might come back as Granny Goodness.
Sure.
I don't know.
Sure. I have hope for everything.
But talk about Helen Mirren, because she's a great actress. I mean, I was reading an article about it. I just want to make sure I get it right. She was in a, I forget now where it was, but she said that she wasn't a fan of superhero movies, but she liked the first Shazam movies so much that when she was approached for this, she said, "Yeah, I'll do it." And to me, it looks like she had a good time doing it. I mean, it seemed to me like she was, like she really had a good time being kind of this badass person that at the end actually helps Shazam, to
spoilers, I guess.
Spoilers.
I put spoiler on the thumbnail.
It's on the card, I guess.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. So Henry Cavill came down and
no, don't start with that. Don't give me any Booster Gold bull. Come on,
man.
No, we can get into spoilers now. Come on, we're 25 minutes into this thing. I think we could do that.
Spoilers.
If anybody wants to leave, go ahead. But we're going to get into spoilers now.
And Castellar, you made a great comment. I cannot believe this film has so many bad reviews because you liked it. We feel the same way, and we're going to get into that.
We're going to get into that,
because Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point, and I'm
Well,
looking forward to getting into it.
Dave, your brother already answered it. You know.
Oh, thanks, Doug. No, well, that's
That's
just
what
part of
Dave
it.
was gonna
That's only
say.
part of it. That's only part of it. And in fairness, one of my points was from a discussion I had with Doug, and I think Doug made a really good point
While you're holding
when
him in a
he
headlock.
said, "Yeah, well, I kicked him down the stairs." That you know what, Rotten Tomatoes kind of seems to kind of get it, and for everybody watching, I know I pound this drum pretty loudly. Rotten Tomatoes is a binary aggregator. It's thumbs up or thumbs down. If you gave it a thumbs up, that's a percentage. Thumbs down. So if it's 50%, that's half the people. That's Siskel gave it a thumbs up and Ebert gave it a thumbs down. That's what that is. So I don't pay too much attention to that. Although if all the critics are saying it's really good or all the critics are saying it's really bad, then I'm like, there's a really good chance that makes sense. To me, it's more in the extremes of the scores. But
Yeah, and we'll talk. We have some stuff. We'll talk about a lot of that a little bit later on. But that's true. I think there's a lot of reasons, and we're going to get into a few of them in a few minutes. I think.
But when it comes to movie criticism, if you want to see something where the reviews are all over the place and wildly inconsistent, it's in the genre of comedy. Comedy is very individual and very subjective. And let's be honest, the Shazam movies rely very heavily on comedy. So when I see critics maybe not enjoying that, I'm like, oh, that's the comedy bias. And Doug brought up a great point to me. Go look up Step Brothers on Rotten Tomatoes. Its scores are not high. That movie is considered a modern comedy classic.
Yeah.
And its Rotten Tomatoes is somewhere in the 50s for the critics. There we go.
Let me bring it up. Hold on a second. There you go.
There we are. 55. Look at that audience score. Only 60. Comedy subjective. But this movie is a classic now.
I wonder what Dumb and Dumber is.
Dumb and Dumber. Yeah, a lot of the like when it comes to relying on critics for information, and I'll never let them make up my mind for me ahead of time, but I will, take it into account because these are professionals who, were hired to do a job, and they certainly had some form of background ideally. But I mean, when it comes to comedy, it's some people think fart jokes are funny. Some people don't. Like, it's so individual.
I'm laughing.
Who doesn't think fart jokes are funny?
Now Joe is going to actually fart on camera to prove my point. So maybe not.
Not tonight.
Okay.
I did have Chipotle on my way here, so
Lenny is going to blow his camera off his computer.
I got the comic run, so
you do. Now you got the Chipotle
Turbo
run.
Man Todd. I agree.
Yeah.
I think isn't that what I told you, Joe? Like
Tina doesn't.
You're old. Oh, I guess I don't want to say it now because
Oh, come on,
Tina. I was gonna say you're getting old once you stop finding fart jokes funny.
Yeah.
But see, now you made me say it after Tina's comments.
I didn't know what you were gonna say.
Lenny, you monster.
Tina
How
has
dare you?
She loves Scooby-Doo.
Tina.
She loves wrestling, so she makes up for it. I like Scooby-Doo and wrestling and bedazzling her stuff.
So one thing I did like about the movie, just to get off of this a little bit, because we have a lot more stuff to talk about on that, but it almost seemed like Billy Batson was not the heart of this movie. It was Freddie Freeman. I mean, the way I saw it, it was more the Freddie Freeman story rather than Billy Batson. Billy Batson in the beginning as Shazam, the whole thing, and at the end. But the essence of it is Freddie Freeman, turning one of the daughters around and finding quote unquote puppy love, I guess, or whatever. And, and basically, I mean, you always see him like yelling things. I mean, he seemed to be really the center of this movie. You guys agree?
Yeah. And he was, I think, the one who was like not in his superhero form the most, right?
Persona, yeah.
He was Freddy. He wasn't like his whatever's Captain.
Every power.
I forgot the name.
Captain Every Power.
Yeah. Thank you, Dave. But I totally agree. Like, because I don't know. I mean, the whole movie is about the others, because we've established who Billy is and Shazam. So it makes sense why they need to go to other characters, because it is a family movie. So it's more than just Billy,
So the first one was very much a buddy comedy with Billy and Freddie, and often Shazam and Freddie. And this one separated the two buddies for a significant portion of the film. And then so I really thought they each got their own story. But Freddie really, he was as much the heart of this film as Billy. And I thought they did a great job balancing that out. And those two were the main characters in the first film. And once again, they were the main characters in this film. They were just separated for much of the film.
And you know what? And just to build off that, I think it's kind of brilliant that they spent some time with Freddie, because he was a contrast to Billy's view on what it's like to be a hero, or what it is to be a hero. Freddie was all about the glamour, and he's Instagram and all that stuff. But at the end, they really understood what it is to be a hero. Making sacrifices and when I guess we can get to this now. When Billy died, right?
Well,
Shazam
at the end, Shazam sacrifices
should I get to that now,
himself.
or should I just
let's just say it?
He made he was willing to sacrifice himself to save the city and save the family. And to me, it was a beautifully shot scene and a really powerful and emotional scene. And I'll step back and let you guys talk.
Well, here's why I got goosebumps. You talked about in the last episode, finding those goosebump hair-raising moments.
Kind of chills.
This one did it for me, when the sacrifice, because it reminded me to what Clark Kent had to do in BVS. No, Clark Kent in BVS.
Exactly the same thing. I thought he did the same exact routine, didn't he? I mean, basically,
with the kryptonite spirit, it was like analogous to the scepter that he had. If I can, if this was like an editorial video, I would put, I would compare the two. I'd put them side by side.
Absolutely,
Lenny. Clark had to say goodbye to Lois, because I can protect you, but the needs of the many outweighs.
Boy, Lenny, I thought of that immediately when I saw it.
Same thing. And from what I remember too, because what caught me is it's the same framing too, because Shazam was like, if you guys remember that the image of Clark Kent about to impale Doomsday, he's like, he's hurting him holding this thing, but I'm gonna go. Same thing. Compositions, I don't want to say identical, but it's like reminiscent.
Close. I agree with you.
I'll jump in. Oh, go ahead.
And one more thing, I heard rumors that the original version, or there was there were some talks that the Justice League was supposed to be a part of this movie too. They just couldn't get through the dome. That's why.
That's a cool
concept. In my head canon, I would love to think that Clark Kent was watching all that, see another hero.
Superman's pounding on the
in my head
Hawkman and Black Adam.
Clark gets emotional because now he's seeing someone else go through the same thing. And that's what it's like to be a hero, because even in the trailer, Billy had this imposter syndrome. He was doing that. If you guys remember from the trailer, he's in the psychiatrist's chair and he's saying there's so many other good heroes out there. Like the Flash is even faster than me, which is a good nod. Flash should be faster than Shazam. But that's what it takes to be a hero. And you have to give it all.
And the thing I like.
No, go ahead, Dave.
Okay. The thing I liked about this ending, and not knocking the ending of Batman versus Superman, but I liked it better because it was resolved. Dave. It was resolved in this film. Where you had to wait for Justice League for the other one to be resolved, and this was resolved in this film. Even if you knew or suspected what was coming next, that scene and what this had that I loved so much is it had his brother, Freddie, and his mother, Rosa, reacting, watching this happen, reacting to it. So you as the audience, you felt the emotion that they were feeling. and that made it so much more powerful than a lot of sacrifices in certain films. I thought it was phenomenal. So.
I mean, you know, both movies completed that arc of like answering the question, what does it take to be a hero? You know,
Yes, yeah.
No matter how people view you, you know, it doesn't matter. It's what you do that matters.
Right, and right there, you see as just before he goes there to take care of the whole thing as I was going to say Captain Marvel again, you know, as Shazam / Captain Marvel. He, you know, as I mentioned before, his foster mom says, "Can I see you one more time?" as Billy, and so that whole Billy thing is he calls her mom. The whole Billy thing is resolved, and then what also is resolved is his kind of innate feeling of not being worthy of being the superhero, which he did in the beginning, not really with a psychiatrist, but it was with a pediatrician, you know, and so, but he went through that. So, and that basically he resolved that himself, you know, at the end as Captain Marvel Shazam. So I think at the end that was a resolution on 2 levels with respect to
all the makings of a good movie, you know.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I said this early on in, you know, because we IM each other all the time, all right? And after I saw it, I told these guys, look, I really think this was a great family movie that was disguised as a superhero movie, because a lot of it had to do with the family structure and the struggles that are there and the inherent struggles of kids, you know, growing up in that type of situation and how they resolve things. Now, you didn't see the mom and dad in there too much this time around. You saw the kids a lot, you know, because their powers were taken away during the movie, you know, so they couldn't Shazam themselves and whatever else. But still, it was still there, you know, only with a lot of action going on and a lot of stuff that made it kind of exciting to see. But to me, you know, Shazam 1 and Shazam 2 were both very strong family movies, and I think this type of movie you could bring your kids to, you know.
As long as they're not too young. It is PG-13, and there are some elements of horror.
Yeah,
but no,
squish like a grape.
If you have a little bit older kids, I think you're right.
Yeah, there's one scene that even traumatized me, you know, and you know what I'm talking about, and they're up on the roof.
Oh yeah.
Oof. Well, I mean, that one I think we should save for those who haven't seen it yet.
We will, and that's Lucy Liu.
Yeah.
Remember, like, they were foreshadowing who was going to take this to where it went. So,
and you know to go back to some people that didn't like some aspects of it, because I think this movie was geared towards for a whole family to see. So maybe some jokes didn't land because they were aimed. That joke was aimed for a much younger audience. You know, maybe that's why it didn't. You know, but you know, you're not the only ones that are watching this movie. So I think that's what the filmmakers had in mind.
I thought the humor in this film was really good. I thought it was better in the first film, and that's not a knock on this film. It was more organic in the first one. Someone wrote in the comments, Steve the Pen was very funny. Someone wrote in the comment when Helen Mirren was reading the letter. Oh my goodness! At first you're like, okay, I get the gag, okay, and then it just kept going. You're like, okay, now it's really
it was a little bit too long. I
actually,
but
it's going. But in the first movie, someone wrote in the credits like, shoot him in the face. Unbelievable line in the first movie. Like the first one was about the origin and the discovery of kids like messing around with like that one. You know, I don't want to say it wrote itself because it didn't. I would never take away from the talent of the author, but it had more of that feel in that first one. This one, you know, it went off in a different direction and it was still terrific. But perhaps a little bit more organic in the first one. But this was a funny movie, and I did laugh out loud at times.
You did have some horror stuff. It was less comedic because you had a lot of action that it was in there too. So it would become. I mean, you can only get so much into 2 hours plus of a movie, right?
Yeah.
I'll go back to what I said. You know, basically, this was a multi-superhero movie. So I mean. You need 3 hours. I'm sorry.
And I'm looking forward to seeing some of the deleted scenes that I've read about. Like some of them sound pretty great. So we'll see when the Blu-ray arrives.
With the whole gun thing, who knows how this movie has changed? You know, like from its initial
And let's get into
iteration.
that. And let's get into that. Okay.
Okay.
And let's get into.
Oh, I
let's
think I know
get
where
into
this is
some
going
of that
too.
now because, and let me bring something up here first for you. All right. All right. Let me get this up there. Let's see. All right. There we go. So here's the issue.
52.
You know.
Yeah.
Here's the issue, right?
Well, this
critics 52%, audience 87%. What the Dave?
No, I mean, and I think we addressing the elephant in the room is this movie. I've seen it multiple times. I really loved going to see it. It's underperformed. My 3 tickets can't make, another $5 million that they were hoping to make an opening weekend or whatever it was. It's underperformed. I'm definitely concerned about where it's going to end up. I mean, it could easily bomb financially, unfortunately. I don't know if it's going to make 200 million worldwide, which would be stunning for a big superhero film. And it's really disappointing. And I think there are a bunch of reasons for it. And Joe, I think that's where you were talking about James Gunn. If every single person who said, Gunn's rebooting, this movie doesn't count, I don't need to see it. If every single person who I saw make that comment online bought a ticket, I think we'd be having a different conversation about its grosses for opening weekend.
I want you to follow up that. But here's the thing that really gets to me. Whether it's that reason, whether it's the critics,
multitude of
whatever it happens to be, there are people here who have basically said, I'm not, it's not because they went to the movie and badmouthed the movie. All right. People who went to the movie, 87% is not a bad number. All right.
Very good.
So you go to the movie, people like the movie, but they decided even to give it a chance. That's so you got people bad mouthing it. I'm not going to go because is it really even worth it? Are you going to have a third one? Why didn't they have Savannah and in the second one with Mr. Mind? I mean, I've saw all these different things listed as to why they didn't like it. But if you ask them, a lot of them they didn't go. They couldn't have gone to that movie. It's crazy. And let me go ahead. I'm going to bring up something else while you guys.
This movie suffered death by 1,000 cuts. I mean, even before the negative press preceded the movie, is like, oh, projection is going to be this. Oh, it's not going to matter, like you guys said, because James Gunn's having his own thing. So yeah, I mean, but what does that say as an audience member, as fans of this genre? It's like, are we fans of the gossip, or are we fans of the actual? Right.
Now, I know we could talk about other reasons too, but if you just take a look quickly at this, you see Ant-Man and the Wasp. And first of all, they said this underperformed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Marvel movies don't make less than $500 million. Like they normally don't. So that is, that's not what they were hoping for.
Yeah. You got Creed 2, you got Scream 6. This Pathan or whatever is a cartoon. Is it a cartoon? No, it's a movie from I think the Middle East or something like that, right? Okay. You can see it's only 17 million here and 95 million outside. Chebby is a cartoon, and it's not. It doesn't even have U.S. no domestic because it's fully.
Chebby, my fluffy friend, is at $90 million.
It's only in 2 countries. Okay. It's only in 2 countries. I think Russia's one of them. Cocaine
but Joe, it's
Bear
Chebby.
For Pete's sakes.
It's Chebby.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Cocaine Bear for Pete's sakes. Come on, give me a break. And down here, look at that. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. Well,
when you shared the article saying that this is the projection of the movie, one of the things I told you is like, yeah, maybe it's gonna bomb opening, but my hope is that it'll have legs, and the movie is good. It'll have legs and it'll catch on word by mouth. So I'd be interested in what the
week 2,
how it does. Yeah, in week 2.
Yeah, that's going to be telling.
That's going to be telling. And also, I mean, I think Reggie posted something how they're going to immediately put this movie in streaming.
It's supposed to come out on April 17th. Is the rumor.
I do not like that. It's
same here.
Telling people to stay home because it's going to be
for the reason I just said.
TV
Now,
them
now,
up.
now
Yeah.
Warner Bros. Being
They've given up.
reactive again,
Yeah.
and they're gonna cut the legs that I'm hoping that this
I agree with you.
movie has. But I do have hope that it'll do well streaming and in physical media. So
And you
because
know what?
if enough people catch it on
Mhm.
streaming, it's like, oh, this is pretty good. They go and get.
And yes, and it doesn't mean there's no future for the character. I mean, it could
Exactly.
easily mean that, but it doesn't necessarily. And that, as we saw by one of the mid-credit scenes, and the truth is, look, the synergy with the Suicide Squad spun off the Peacemaker into a television series.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you couldn't Shazam like television special or HBO Max special or a short series, or like there are other avenues where they could return. Who knows at this point? I don't think they have any clue right now.
Yeah.
But Death by a Thousand Cuts. You're right, Lenny.
But yeah, and part of me too is like a lot of people like the first one. It just doesn't make sense why the trajectory is this way. At least people would have gone, more people have gone to see it, and then maybe not like it, and then
Well, the first movie came out in 2019, and that was pre-COVID, and that paradigm has shifted radically. I know it's even shifted for me. Like I saw the Batman once in theaters. I'm a huge Batman fan. And then the day it came out, they said, it's coming out on HBO Max in 45 days. I'm like, well, I'm not going back to the theaters, especially it was closer to when the COVID numbers were higher. I'm like, people are content to stay home if they're not dying to see it, if they're not really excited to see it, they're like, I'll wait for streaming. I think that our mindset as a culture has shifted on that.
Yeah.
Well, can I say one thing about this? I want to make a comparison. I know people, especially Marvel fans, are not going to like this probably. But to me, this was a really lighthearted, entertaining movie. I mean, it had some elements of horror because Sandberg, the director, that's what he does. But, having those, whatever they were, gargoyles or whatever else, running around,
Harpies.
and the harpies and the wooden dragon, from the tree.
That was cool.
Of life,
cool.
I mean, that was kind of cool stuff. I thought, I think the CGI was pretty good on that, but if you think back to Marvel, we had the whole show on that, right? About or was it the other show? I forget which one, but it was about Marvel State, 4 and 5, and how it just doesn't seem to be resonating with the fans. They said Ant-Man and the Wasp, although it's made almost $500 million, it didn't do well. I think Wakanda made over $800 million, so they did pretty well in that.
Yeah,
but I watched it and it was a good movie, but it didn't excite me. I mean, it just didn't excite me. I can't say why, but it didn't excite me. Ant-Man and the Wasp I haven't seen yet, so I can't comment on that. But if I look back at the movies that have come out from Marvel, other than the Spider-Man movie, none of them excited me. I mean, I think that this movie, in my view, if you look at it, and I know people may disagree, but from my standpoint, and again, I can't think Ant-Man and the Wasp because I haven't seen it, but it's better than all those movies except for Spider-Man, especially for the Spider-Man movie. The Spider-Man movie was terrific. These others, if I would rank them, I would rank the Spider-Man movie first, and I'd rank this one next. I just don't, and that's the part that is upsetting to me, is that people didn't even give it a chance to go to the movies to see it. Because I think if they did, it would be so much better. I don't know if the opening date was wrong. I think the fact that the Marvel movies don't have the same excitement, because the Marvel movies really have been driving the movies. Even the DCEU movies from the old thing, they may not have done as well as DC wanted or Warner Brothers wanted, but they were helped, by the Avengers movies and by those things, because people wanted to see good movies.
I think
they were helped.
I think the thing that has propped up Marvel has taken down DC, and that's the shared universe. I think Marvel fans, it's almost like a TV series. You got to go see it because it, Kang is going to be in Secret Wars, or there's that element. These are all connected, so it's important to see it. Whereas, Gunn has come in and said, we're rebooting things, so people are like, well, it's not connected. So I think that mindset has become so pervasive because of the MCU,
and that's it. With the DCU now, right? So people are saying what you said earlier, Dave. I want to see this cohesive universe. James Gunn, although he says this is a great movie and all this, basically because he's saying we're going to start the new universe with the Superman movie that I'm going to write, direct, and whatever else, maybe star in for all I know. You know, the fact that he does that, how does that affect these movies? How's it going to affect Aquaman? Flash might be an exception if they connect
because of Michael Keaton. Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
yes,
they've got a lot going for that.
If they connect it to the DC, if they connect it to the DCU, you know, if it's a flashpoint,
I viewed it as the first film of the DCU. I know people have said, "Oh, Blue Beetle's their first movie." I'm like, no, it's really Flash. Flash is if you want to call it a bridge, sure, go ahead.
Yeah.
But
well, the first movie is Superman. The first movie is Superman. He said it himself, Gunn. You know, that's why
Blue Beetle's coming out though, and because it's not
outside
really
of it though. It's not connected. It's outside. Now, doesn't mean he can't continue.
Yeah, I think they're.
I think I know what you're getting at, David. You're saying that Flash is like the door that opens.
It is.
We hope. We don't know that yet.
Well, you're right.
I think the post credit's pretty telling. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys. Or sorry, the mid credit.
And getting back to that, I mean, look, I love the shared universe that Marvel's created. I think it's fantastic. But you know what I like more? Just really good superhero movies.
Yeah.
Whether they're, some other characters in it or not, which is ironic because this film has a major DC superhero in it that factors in pretty heavily at a key point in this in Shazam. Look, I just want the good movie. I love seeing the team ups. I really do. Everybody does. And that's what changed the game for Marvel when they did Avengers. They were not expecting to make $1.6 billion on that film. And they've paradigm shifted.
I'm going to give it away because I think everybody knows it already. And I did say this spoiler thing. I love Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, and she came in here and had it was great that it wasn't a post-credit scene or a mid-credit scene. It was great that it was actually integral to the movie,
It mattered.
Towards the end, and it mattered, so that was great. But she's sitting there, right? And I think I would have asked her out too if I was him, but that's besides the point. But
why are you so obsessed with Wonder Woman, dude? And he's like, really?
Right? But something, and people that follow me on Instagram know my series, The 7 Days of Gal, and be a new one soon.
Does your wife know about your series?
Yes, she says, "What am I doing?" So anyway, but the thing is,
that's love.
This is part of the issue. Leva doesn't even know if he's going to be Shazam in the DCU.
Yeah.
We don't know if Gal Gadot is going to be Wonder Woman in the DCU. And that kind of feeds into, I'm going to wait. Why should I invest time in this? Might be a good movie. I'll watch it on HBO Max. I'm not going to go out and spend the money because it's kind of out there. It's not anything. It's connected to anything else. I don't think there's going to be a third one, even though, they had an end credit scene that at least tease the possibility. There's not going to be a third one
if you don't go see it. I mean, it's got to make enough money. Like it's
I think there's that kind of mentality. I think poses a bigger problem because if that's your attitude, and then the numbers are low, studios are going to stop making these movies.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it could be
that studios don't listen to hashtags. Studios don't listen to, They listen to the DC Watch, but
they listen to their accountants.
They listen to this.
Yeah.
So just because you're whatever with the movie, I mean, at least check it out. If you really call yourself, I mean, I don't want to lay any guilt trips because I know there are circumstances why people don't go out.
Absolutely fair.
Financial comfort because
and some people, COVID's still a thing. Some people are immunocompromised. I mean,
So I don't want to jumble those people with with this comment I'm about to make. But if you're a fan of this genre, it helps if you go see it, and you might, even if you're not like dying to see it, but we gotta support the genre if you want it to be around.
And some people are talking about that this may be the start, or maybe it already started with Marvel Phase 4, the start of like an oversaturation feel for superhero movies. So you're going to start to see them compressing and having fewer of them because you have now, Disney Plus TV shows, the movies, they're all kind of integral. DCU is going to be similar now. You already see some of that, that's going on. And so it may turn out to go back to the way it was eventually, where you may have, just like a trilogy
like
of
the
Batman
Westerns.
movies, a trilogy of Superman movies, a trilogy of something else, rather than this connected universe. And I agree, it's a lot of pressure. I mean, if you're really invested in one of these things, I know for some of these, I haven't looked at Ant-Man and the Wasp yet, anything I've written about them, because I want to be able to see it for myself. So there's a lot of pressure sometimes that you can't watch something. Don't say that. I can't watch some of my favorite people on, if they're going to have a show, I'm going to have a show on this. I'm not going to watch it because I don't want to hear anything about it. So there's this pressure there that in some ways is annoying and upsetting, because, but you want to be able to understand that. So I don't know. Just me, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know it's money talks, but I mean, look at the Westerns, it didn't really die because there's a resurgence of Western. If you haven't noticed, a lot of TV shows like in Paramount, like, so, but maybe, like you're right, Joe, maybe we'll see a little,
I don't know. I'm just saying it's possible. And one last thing, you guys, I'll give everybody one last shot there because we're getting close to an hour. But one thing I want to say or bring up as a question for people in the comments, if you're watching this on replay or if you're here live, is, do you think that if Shazam is the portent of what's going to happen because of James Gunn's announcement and what he's going to do with the DCU, do you think that this portends badly for the DCU, or do you think people will come back? I mean, are they looking? To me, it looks like they're saying, if they are frankly saying, and I think some people are saying this, I'm not investing in any of these movies. Maybe The Flash, if it in fact is, as you say, Dave, the bridge to the DCU, but Aquaman, I think, comes in after it, right?
That's what I don't get. I don't know where Aquaman's going to fit in. I really don't.
It really should be after that, and maybe even after Blue Beetle, depending on what Blue Beetle is like. But why, if that's the case, I mean, how are people going to look at this? They're going to say, I'm not listening. So, okay, now I'm suddenly going to go see Superman and the rest of these things that you're going to do? Or am I just going to say, you know what? I'm not going to go see these movies. I'll wait. It'll be on HBO Max. Whatever. I'm not that excited about it anymore. I think that's the big problem. I think they tried to build excitement, and all of the Snyderverse people, right, Lenny? We were kind of PO'd about about no Cavill. I still don't know if Gal's going to be there. I don't know, I don't know who's going to survive and who's not. I know some of the people I liked are not going to survive, and others are up in the air. So to me, I'm almost more upset now than we had the whole thing about Henry Cavill. It's frustrating, And so
that's a great comparison, Joe. Like, it's a similar feeling. Like when they axed Cavill, when this film hasn't done, when it's underperformed to this level, and it looks like that's it for the character. Yeah, no, it's just a hard pill to swallow. Even Black Adam not being as good as I wanted it to be. It's pretty good, but I wanted it to be great, and I didn't feel it was.
We all do.
Yeah, it's just the hits to keep on coming.
Yeah.
Though I'll say this one wasn't about the quality of the movie. I really like this movie, so I'm really glad, that at least we got a good movie. If they're gonna be problems, at least it's not with the film itself.
Dave likes it so much that the camera's shaking. That's how much he loves it. Like, so much.
Yeah, that's.
But like, just to go back to my previous comment, we gotta the general audience does not know, oh, this is a Marvel movie, this is a DC movie. You just know, they just know it's a comic movie.
Why isn't Batman with Spider-Man? Yeah, they don't know.
Yeah, so it'll do the genre well if all of them are great. And I know we like to make teams and tribalize between the two companies, but down the end, like, the most important thing is that they make good movies.
But it's not anymore. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's not anymore, because you have to be able to tie it into other things. That's, I mean, the Wonder Woman was there, and you wonder why now, because you don't even know if there's going to be another Shazam. Is he really going to join the Justice Society? I mean, I read that originally it was supposed to be who was it? Hawkman and
Cyclone.
Thank you. They were supposed to show up
Yeah.
You know, but then they're saying black. I mean, this is like black. They're saying, oh, you know, The Rock nixed it because he was the producer. He's allowed to do that. What is this? I mean, it's like sniping at each other, coming up with this. I don't know what's true or not, but it's
You know
like,
what?
who cares? Why
But you
get
know what,
into this
Joe?
stuff?
The behind the scenes drama is way more entertaining than the entirety of Phase 4 for me.
I don't like it, Lenny.
If it weren't so
Jerry has a-
negative, I'd agree. But
Jerry has a great idea, but then Jerry, they're going to have to call him Captain Marvel, and they can't do that.
but here's where my optimism comes in, I think.
All right.
But I think it's important that the next Batman and the next Joker will do well. And that's because now you're showing the general audience. You may not like you may not like what's going on in the DCU, but there's still room to enjoy this genre with these movies.
The Elseworld movies.
Yeah, so I think
Standalone.
that might be the saving grace, is that there's a door out there if you're not into, you know, what's going on in Disney Plus, what's going on in Peacemaker over at HBO Max, but there's this one there's a Joker movie, you know.
Well, I think Batman movies generally do well, and so I think it probably will do well, but it's got to be a good movie. But I think it will do well.
Yeah.
I think the Joker movie will do fantastic because
Lady
Lady Gaga's in it.
There's a lot of and just the amount of buzz that we're seeing, you know, and we're like ways away, you know. So
let's be honest, guys.
There's hope.
Warner Brothers needs the wins. I mean, I read something by someone describing it as a studio in crisis. Ironic, given DC. And I can't argue with that. I think their money, like a lot of comments have alluded to the fact they didn't feel this movie was well promoted. I can't speak to that because I follow so many Shazam things on social media that I saw it all the time. So, but a lot of people are like, oh, this movie was out, you know?
Yeah.
So, look, they're going to need the money. I believe all companies need it. I think they're probably in a position where
the Flash movie better make $1 billion. That's all I got to say, or else I think they got problems.
Tom Cruise liked it. That's going to help.
Yeah, that's true. You got a special showing, Lenny. Can't you get us a special showing for Pete's sakes? Come on.
You're as famous as Tom Cruise,
Watch,
Lenny.
We're DC Watch.
Yeah, I'm only 30 minutes from Warner Brothers. But
there you go.
But the thing that was like when it comes to Warner Brothers, though, I think that they have other properties aside from DC that can actually, you know, keep them afloat. You know, I mean, may not be as big as, you know, the comic book stuff, but you know, their shows are great. You know, like every time there's always like the Last of Us. You know, like they're doing well in certain aspects, but yeah, I mean they are in trouble in terms of this franchise.
I think having gone there, like, I mean, I love that. Another reason I like this Shazam movie is because they brought in so many, like, you know, we don't have time to get into them, but like the Easter eggs and stuff from the actual, you know, comic books and everything, you know. So
Special
it was
cameo.
good. So it's clear that they like the comic books and they like the source material, and I think that's important. And as long as you have like these Warner Brothers people that are just trying to make movies instead of following the source material, like Jerry said, how about a Shazam movie during World War II? That's when was his heyday, right? He was the number one comic book during that time.
He was.
That might have been a better approach rather than getting the Jeff Johns version. You know, maybe that would have been a better approach to do something like that. You know, well, I agree, but you know, I think that might have been a bit.
I hear you. So
there are different ways of approaching this that could have made it perhaps more successful. Anyway, so why don't we close up and final thoughts? Pretty Fly, why don't you start us off? Any final thoughts on this?
Yeah, if you're still on the fence whether to see this movie or not in theaters, please do. Don't listen to the fact that it's not going to do well or it's not a part of a bigger thing. Just see it for the actual good movie that it is. Right. You know, and you know, maybe you'll like it, and now you got to see it in a prestigious format that is the big screen with good sound effects, because there's so many good visuals in this movie that it'll be a shame to see it on an iPad or maybe on a home television or on the phone. So, you know, so please check it out. Check out Matinee. It's cheaper. But you know, it'll still help the movie.
That's what I want. Dave, how about you?
You know, I just want to second what Lenny said. Give it a shot. It's a lot of fun. It's got some great performances. It's emotional. It's funny. It has the things you want in a fun superhero film. So, like Lenny said, give it a chance.
Yeah.
Well, I am not as articulate as both of you. So what I'm going to do is I actually got an article.
the
And I just
lawyer.
love the way it
So
ended.
I was gonna say, it
read
says the lawyer.
Yeah.
Actually, I started writing something, but I like what this woman wrote a lot better, so I figured I'd read it. So Shazam! Fury of the Gods offers fans of the first film more of the same, a family-friendly action adventure with humor and heart. And that's not a bad thing. Sandberg clearly knows and respects the source material, and it's that sense of authentic enjoyment that makes the formula work. It's a film crafted by a fan for fans. Although the future of the Shazam films is uncertain under the new James Gunn Peter Safran regime, Fury of the Gods presents a convincing argument that Earth's mightiest mortal is still worthy of that movie magic. I thought that was great language.
Yeah.
And so with that, Lenny, should I tell them now that we have a post-credit scene or no?
End credit scene
of this show? Oh, maybe. Oh, sorry, I said it. All right. So I want to thank everybody for showing up.
It's something for
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm saying it's just something for those who have seen the movie.
Yes.
And if you haven't seen the movie, go see it. So this will all make sense.
Yeah.
And don't ask what I was on when I edited it.
Bring your Skittles.
Yeah, this is all pretty fun. Okay. Yeah. The entry video was me and Bruno, but this was all pretty fly. I don't want to have any responsibility.
Bruno is on Bruno is the guy that sits on the 7th chair that they foretold.
On the 7th chair. Right?
Turbo Man, keep saying it, buddy. It's going to work one day. I keep doing it.
Right.
So
right.
Keep it up.
Exactly. Right. So don't forget, we have a post-credit scene, so don't leave. So I just want to thank everybody that came in and watched it live. And if you're watching this on a replay, hopefully you enjoyed our musings and our discussion about this, and hope to see you on the next DC Watch. I just want to tell everybody that next Friday we do have a episode of the Comic Book Crowd coming up, and we have a couple of great guests there that I think you're going to want to listen to. Very knowledgeable about the subject matter. So look for the posting for that pretty soon. And with that, we'll say goodbye and on to our credits. All right, the credits are rolling, and now here comes the post-credits scene. All right, take care, guys.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
We at DC Watch have a special message for all the trolls and haters of Shazam 2. Taste the rainbow, mother!